1 year ago, the Pittsburgh Pirates went for the treasure, and all they got was sand. The Cincinnati Reds had decided to use the postseason to put on a clinic.
O'Neill. He is out at third base.
In the end, it was the other guys who went on to glory. Not wanting that to happen again, the Bucks began this season with a resolve. Don't worry, be happy.
Bond with a drive, deep right field, go ball!
And before long, it was, nice try, fellas. See you next year. And how many of you gave Atlanta a chance to be here? Youthful, inexperienced, you said. But like a good racehorse, this club hung in there, and in the stretch run, won by a nose. Not many people bet this group, and in the end, the brave souls of Atlanta had the last laugh. What used to be called Traumahawks turned to Tomahawks, and the rest of us are believers. And so tonight, one team steeled by the lessons of the past against a team engaged to destiny. Two cities with high hopes.
Three of Bonilla, Van Slyke, and Bonds were shut down by the Big Red Machine. Frustrated, then defeated, Pittsburgh sat and faced the quiet sunset of their championship season. But like the coming dawn, each was given a second chance. Andy Van Slyke took advantage in his very first at-bat. Then Bobby Bonilla drove home a run and helped spoil Tom Glavine's playoff debut. But the final blow to the Braves was self-inflicted. They ran themselves out of a big inning opportunity in the fourth. So tonight, manager Bobby Cox is one game down, pinning his hopes on a cool, steady left-hander, 21-year-old Steve Avery. It'll be his job to keep the Bucks on the bench, slow down the flag waving, and stop the dancing in Pittsburgh. Once again, we are at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Last night, they set an attendance record here, and another big crowd has gathered, but the weather has changed a little bit. Not nearly as nice as it was 24 hours ago, but these folks are prepared, and we shall play the game. The temperature here in Pittsburgh is 51 degrees. Forecast for scattered showers, but it appears that we're not going to have any more rain, and we'll get going with the second game of the National League Championship Series with the Braves and the Pirates. Good evening, everyone. Jack Buck with Tim McCarver. Last year, Tim, the folks became familiar with the Pirates, learned how good they were, and they reminded us again last night. However, this evening, they're up against a very, very tough left-handed pitcher.
Well, I should say so. Steve Avery at 21, the youngest pitcher in the major leagues, and it's hard to believe that only 3 years ago he was pitching in high school in Taylor, Michigan. He's young, he's confident, he's tough, not brash, but confident and tough.
And he kind of reminds you of this entire Atlanta team.
He typifies the Atlanta ball club.
I wonder if they fail to win and go home 0-2, how tough will they be at home?
Well, talking to Bobby Cox before the game, obviously the Atlanta Braves want to go home 1-1. But if they go home 0-2, they realize they have a world of support in Atlanta, a national following, and I don't think they're that concerned about going back to Atlanta 0-2.
And you folks in Atlanta are waiting for Saturday afternoon, aren't you? The pitchers are Steve Avery, opposed by another left-hander, Zane Smith. And Andrea Joyce is the other member of our telecasting crew, and she has more about young Steve Avery. Andrea?
Well, Jack, you may be wondering about a 21-year-old state of mind just before his first playoff start. Well, Steve Avery laughed when I asked him if he was nervous about tonight. He said, hey, I just think this is fun. Avery believes if he's relaxed, his teammates will relax, and they do when he's up there.
When Steve takes the mound, we feel like we're going to win. I mean, so I can say that we're pumped up out there. I feel like Steve goes right after the guys, and he doesn't have us out in the outfield too long.
Now remember, Avery's the guy who fell asleep in the clubhouse about an hour before a big late season start against the Dodgers. Oh, and by the way, he's getting married November 2nd, and guess what, guys? He's not nervous about that either.
Yeah, but he will be, Andrea. More bad news about managers in baseball. Another one was fired today. Jim Lefevre was kicked out as the skipper of the Seattle Mariners. We're going to talk more about that managerial situation later. Right now, we're ready. You keep the rain away, and we'll have some fun.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 2 of the 1991 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Toyota and the all-new totally redesigned Camry. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Sears Brand Central, the brand you want at the store you trust. And by Bud Dry brewed so it drinks light yet satisfies completely.
Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. And the starting pitcher for the Pirates is Zane Smith. He was a 16-game winner during the season. 6 complete games. He is a strong performer. Here's the lineup which will confront him tonight for Atlanta with Lonnie Smith in left field. They've changed the batting order. Terry Pendleton is at third. Ron Gant is hitting third, playing center. We had David Justice in right field. Starting for the first time is Brian Hunter. He's at first base. Greg Olson moved up in the batting order. He's behind the plate. Mark Lemke has been dropped down, and he's the second baseman. Rafael Belliard, the shortstop, and Steve Avery, a pretty good hitter, is batting in the number 9 spot.
And to find defense behind Zane Smith, Barry Bonds in left field, Andy Van Slyke in center, both Gold Glovers, Bonilla in right, Steve Buechele at third base, Jay Bell at shortstop, Jose Chico leaned at second, Gary Reedus at first, and Don Slaught behind the plate.
And the first batter will be Lonnie Smith. He took the collar last night, and he tried to bunt it. He missed it, almost ran into the ball. Strike one. Zane Smith started him off with a breaking ball, and it kind of picked Lonnie Smith off. He thought he'd get a fastball that he could bunt. That evens things up 1-1. It'll be Smith, Pendleton, and Gant here in the opening inning. Lonnie crowds the plate and takes ball 2. Tonight's umpires are Frank Pulley behind the plate with Dana DeMuth, Eric Gregg, Bob Davidson, Bruce Fremming, and Doug Harvey. The first playoff for Dana DeMuth. 2-2 as it came straight back off the bat of Lonnie Smith against Zane Smith.
Got to be a cause for concern for Ray Miller, the pitching coach. All of the pitches so far have been up in the strike zone from Smith.
This one is popped up into right for Bonilla. That's the way this one starts. A ceremonial first pitch this evening was delivered by 17-year-old Scott May. He's the son of Milt May, the batting coach of the Pirates, and the grandson of Pinky May, who's down in San Antonio, a former big league player.
A horrible car accident around Christmas of last year. It's going to take him about 18 months to fully recover, but he has made a rather dramatic comeback.
Number 2 hitter for the Atlanta Braves is Terry Pendleton. Terry got a walk last night, but he was 0 for 3. Lonnie Smith is flying to right, and Zane Smith off to a good start, 1-1. Pendleton won the batting crown this year, hitting .319, won it by 1 point over Hal Morris in Cincinnati. There are the others: Tony Gwynn, Willie McGee, and Felix Jose. Pendleton takes ball 2.
The interesting thing about the batting race in the National League this year, Hal Morris was up. He had gone 3 for 4, actually 3 for 3, and had he gotten a hit to his last at bat, he would have won the crown.
A high chopper, and Chico lean gets to it, 2 up. Chico was waiting for an extremely high bounce, but he didn't get it. The ground crew did a good job of keeping this infield area dry. The outfielders are going to have to be on their toes when the ball hits that turf. It'll skip. 2 out for Ron Gant. Gant was 0 for 4 last night. A big hitter for the Braves during the year. 32 home runs. James slips one in on it. And went down to an order in the first inning last night. And unless Gant does something, yep, he's going to be out too. Chico lean, he is safe. He beat it. The ball just past the glove of Zane Smith, and Lean did everything he could. But Gant, in addition to being a good power hitter, can do other things. He can run.
Well, you got the feeling that if this ball gets over the head of Zane Smith, that Gant could beat it, and he does. Jose Lean doing the best he can, but Gant by a shoelace.
And the first base umpire, Dana DeMuth, had the close call and got it right. I shouldn't sound surprised when I say that. He got it right. 2 out and a runner on. The man allows David Justice to bat. He homered in the 9th inning last evening. Smith gets ahead. David Justice stands in there well against southpaw pitching, Tim.
Actually, a better hitter for his career against left-handers. 277 against lefties, 274 against right-handers.
And he had the runner going back. Strike 2.
Of course, when you say career average, it's a short career for David Justice. Last year, the National League Rookie of the Year. And I would imagine that Ron Gant will be off and running against Zane Smith, a pitcher that is easy to run on. 27 steals this year in 31 tries.
Ron Gant stole 34 bases this season. Not going. Ball 1.
Zane Smith likes to work fast, but he does not have a good move to first base. He looks like he would for a left-hander, but he doesn't. Doesn't like to throw to first base, as a matter of fact, and that's one of the reasons for the success of base runners against him.
And he got Justice on a pitch down and in. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Steve Avery to the mound, and Gary Reedus will lead it off for Pittsburgh. Passed up a baseball scholarship to Stanford to go right into professional baseball, and 18-8 during the year. Here's the starting lineup for Pittsburgh with Gary Reedus at first base, Jay Bell at short, Andy Van Slyke in center field, Bobby Bonilla is in right, and Barry Bonds in left. Steve Buechele at third base. For the second night in a row, Don Slaught doing the catching. And Jose Lean at second, with Smith pitching, and aside from the pitcher, it's the same Pirate lineup. Gary Reedus had a hit and a stolen base last night. 1 for 4. Ball 1 from the 6'4" left-hander Steve Avery.
Fastball, changeup, and curveball from Avery in that order of excellence.
He is really aggressive and a very confident young hurler. There's ball 2, and down the stretch he was really tough for Atlanta. He was unflappable. He won his last 5 games. Now he's behind Reedus, 2-0. Got a strike in there. I mentioned it last night. As good a hitters as Reedus and Bell might be, you don't want to lose them, particularly with a walk. Van Slyke, Bonilla, Bonds, and Buechele to follow. That's why Reedus and Bell get a lot of good pitches to hit. That makes the count 3-1. Ball in the dirt. Well, perhaps he got a piece of it. 3-1. Where were you? What were you folks doing when you were 21 years old? He's got a lot of weight on his big shoulders tonight. All 4. It takes time, Tim, no matter how good you are. Takes time to settle into a situation like this.
Well, Steve Avery 3-11 last year, and interestingly, he is talking about how last year helped him. The third youngest starter in the League Championship Series. Only Brett Saberhagen and Fernando Valenzuela were younger to start a National League Championship Series ball game. Look for Bell to be bunting here.
He's going to swing, and he took a strike. More often than not, when the Pirates get their leadoff man on, they have Bell bunting the ball, and he's very, very good in that department. Bell last night chipped in with a base hit, 1 for 3. And strike 2, so they disdain the bunt here in the first inning. We'll have to talk to Jim Leyland, the Pittsburgh manager, about that. He's getting a little bit away from his usual order of things, although against the left-hander, he frequently likes to let Bell have 16 home runs this season. Out of play. Still 0-2. Across the way from Jim Leyland is Bobby Cox, the manager of the Atlanta Braves. And we'll see both managers giving signs throughout the evening. Reedus, a good base stealer. Strike, and a breaking ball throws Jay Bell. Strike 3 is called. So a walk and a strikeout.
I think froze is the proper term on this 50-degree night. Good breaking ball after all of the fastballs, and you can clearly see the break of the curveball, and it gets Bell 1 out.
Now Andy Van Slyke, who had a home run and a double last night, and drove home 2 runs. Reedus is going, and a foul on the hit and run. Sometimes, Tim, a manager will put on a hit and run to help a left-handed hitter against the left-handed pitcher.
Well, Andy Van Slyke is not normally a good hitter against left-handers. However, last night that he dispelled that notion with a home run his first time up off Tommy Glavine and a double later on in the game. But I know what you're saying. When you do hit and run from a hitter's standpoint, all you try to do is make contact. You don't try to do too much.
This one low and away, and he went around. And the third base umpire, Bob Davidson, said it was a strike, and that's strike 2.
Well, let's look at it from this angle. He could have gone. It was close.
And it looked like he did break the plane of home plate. 0-2. And 2 strikeouts for Avery as he pumped the fastball over the corner.
Well, you said froze Bell. That was correct. And now pumped the fastball, and that's correct. I mean, he is blowing out there. He is throwing awfully hard. I think when he walked Gary Reedus, Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach, had to be thinking maybe he's too strong. His last outing against Houston last Friday night, he pitched a no-hitter for 6 2/3 innings.
He has Bonilla up there now in his throw to first.
Avery with the fair move to first base. That's one of the things that he would like to work on, but you know, again, he's only 21 years old.
Bobby Bonilla with 2 out. Foul ball. Bonilla had a good night last night. 2 singles, a walk, 2 for 3 with a run batted in and a run scored. Runner at first, 2 out. Strike 2 to Bonilla, and Avery is in a spot to strike out the side.
Avery, influenced a great deal by his father, He and his dad used to work on his pitching mechanics when he was 8 years old. So he's had a lot of training.
You're out, and he struck out the side after issuing a leadoff walk. He got Bell, Van Slyke, and Bonilla. We've had a scoreless first inning here in Pittsburgh, with each team leaving a runner. And Steve Avery has to feel good about the way he's settled in after the leadoff walk. Struck out the side.
That's one thing you can't look for off of Zane Smith. Zane Smith with a little more than 1 walk per game, and that's the best ratio in the major leagues this year.
And he hardly ever walks the leadoff hitter. Brian Hunter is swinging a miss. Here's a stat on Zane Smith. He has walked only 2 out of 336 hitters leading off an inning.
That's over the last year and a half.
Base hit left center for Brian Hunter in his first at-bat in postseason play.
Nothing to it, huh, Brian? First time up. Get ahead in the count and pop one to left center. Brian Hunter, a rookie. He started 31 games at first base this year, called up in early June, and used to platoon with Sid Bream. First at bat, first hit.
And the batter now, Greg Olson. Olson caught last night, and he was 0 for 4. Strike 1 to the Atlanta catcher.
I think what you have to do against Zane Smith is open things up. We mentioned he throws a lot of ground balls. He led the major leagues in double plays, 27 double plays. 20 double play balls did he throw this year. And the way to combat that is to run on him. First base umpire Dana DeMuth said that Olson didn't go around on the play, and there it is. 27 double play ground balls thrown by Zane Smith this year.
And we'll see if that causes Atlanta to start the runner. Hunter, but he didn't steal a base all year. He draws the throw.
Yeah, but you're not running to steal a base when you hit and run. That's the thing. It's up to the hitter to put the ball in play, preferably on the ground. But that's the way you combat the double play ball. If a guy throws a lot of fly balls, there's no sense in using your running game as much. But you should against a guy like Smith.
1-1 to Olson. Ball 2. 2-1, and there's Jimmy Williams coaching at third base for the Braves. Anything shaking?
Good time for it. Of all the counts on a batter, the 2-1 count, the best count on which to hit and run.
And a base hit to right. The runner has to stop at second as Bonilla comes up with it. Oh, the first 2 are on for the Braves, and they now have 3 hits. Had they been running, would have been different.
Good piece of hitting by Greg Olson. Fastball away. He takes it away. Singling sharply to right field. It was hit so hard that Hunter prudently stops at second base. You can see from that vantage point why he did so.
There's nobody out in the Atlanta second inning. And the Braves hope for something from Mark Lemke. Lemke moved down to the number 7 spot in the order after batting second last night. Was 0 for 4. Ball 1. Brian Hunter started this off with a single. He's at second, and a base hit by Greg Olson. A little hitting room through short. That's inside ball 2. This is a terrific infield the Pirates have defensively.
Especially with Steve Buechele at third base. Buechele picked up in late August. And you look around that infield, Jay Bell and Jose Leaned at second base. Gary Reedus, not a strong defensive player at first. He's about the only one in their defense that is less than average.
Lemke tried to go to the right side, fouled it away, 2-1. Bobby Cox hoping to get out in front. Jimmy Williams with more signs. Hunter and Olson run the bases. Lemke gets a hit. That's going to load the bases. That's all. 3 hits in a row against Zane Smith, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Well, the Braves have the right approach against Smith. 2 right-handers with singles the other way. Zane Smith with a heavy sinker. And if you try to pull that sinker, it is so heavy when you make contact with the bat that you'll usually hit the ground ball to the shortstop and end up playing pepper with the shortstop all night long. 2 good approaches by Olson and Lemke, and now here comes Ray Miller, and there's Roger Mason warming for the Pirates.
Jim Leland told us he was going to do that early. He said, I'll go get him quickly if he's being knocked around, and Ray Miller, the pitching coach, is out to try to help. Belliard will be the batter, bases loaded, nobody out. And Roger Mason cranking it up in the right field corner, and these Pirate fans are quiet. They picked Mason up about mid-season, and he really helped him down the stretch in September. We used to see him with San Francisco.
I think Ray Miller is out there to buy some time from Mason. And Frank Pulley, the home plate umpire, out to talk to Smith, and by the time he got out there, Miller went back to the dugout. One of the finer pitching coaches around, with Baltimore from 1978 to 1985. The Orioles winning the American League Championship in '79 under Miller as a pitching coach, and they won the World Championship in 1983 against the Phillies.
Well, let's see if his visit to the mound has helped Zane Smith. Belliard's the batter. And a ground ball they'll throw home. 1 out and no other play.
What does an infielder think in a situation like this? If you're the third baseman, you think if the ball is hit hard to me, I go to second. If it's hit softly, I go home. It's hit softly, and Buechele, one of the better third basemen around, makes the proper play. Look at the slide by Brian Hunter. He goes in to take out the catcher. You hear of a runner taking out a second baseman or a shortstop, but you saw then that runners can also take out catchers on potential double play balls.
Steve Avery can swing the bat. He takes a strike, but that was a big out, and Belliard hit into a force out. You saw Don Slott. We saw Slott. He got the heck out of there, didn't he, Tim?
Get out of the way, right? Because the ball wasn't hit that hard, and that gave the runner a chance to get on top of Slott. It was an onslaught.
Avery drove in 2 runs during the year. And strike 2 on the foul ball. He had 17 hits, but only 2 RBIs.
Don Slott, tough as a fast food steak. Sluggo's his nickname. Came over to the Pirates from the Yankees. His 4th major league ball club.
Zane Smith trying to wriggle off the hook here in the second. Low, ball 1, 1 and 2. That was a big out when they got Belliard. Over at third base, it's Olson. Down at second, it's Lemke, and at first base on the fielder's choice, Belliard. With 1 out. 2 out. Second strikeout for Zane Smith. Well, the playoffs in the American League continue tomorrow night from Skydome. 8:30 Eastern Time. They're all tied up at a game apiece. These 2 teams travel down to Georgia, and the Blue Jays and Twins go at it tomorrow night.
Be Jimmy Key, the left-hander for the Blue Jays, against Scott Erickson. And who signed Jimmy Key? Bobby Cox, the manager of the Atlanta Braves when he was the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays.
This would be a good spot for Lonnie Smith to get his First hit in the playoffs. Strike to him. Talking from a Braves viewpoint. Meanwhile, Zane Smith is almost out of this second inning. One and one. Bases loaded, 2 out. They have Lonnie Smith played around to the opposite field. They give him left center. They don't expect him to pull the ball against Zane Smith. That's low, and that's ball 2. Postseason competition is nothing new for Lonnie Smith. Three and one. Bases were loaded, nobody out. He got Belliard, he fanned Avery, and now he's made it a 3-1 count to Lonnie Smith. Three and two. Now they'll all go. Olson, Lemke, and Belliard will leave with a pitch. Bases loaded, 2 out, 3 and 2. Bell will go to first. And the inning's over. The Braves have left 4. No score.
Score here at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. The Braves with a golden opportunity. Bases loaded, nobody out. There's Francisco Cabrera. He runs out in from the bullpen every time a pitcher needs to be warmed up. And look, he's got 2 gloves in his back pocket, and he's got a glove on his left hand. That's 3 gloves for only 2 hands.
He's cold. He's shivering down there in the bullpen. Here we go into the home half of the second inning, and Barry Bonds is up in strike 1 from Steve Avery. Hits the pitcher. It's a hit. And we'll see where the ball struck Steve Avery. He waves the trainer away. Looks like it hit him on the foot.
It looked like the sole of his left foot, or the heel of his left foot. Now, Barry Bonds is a good friend of Mario Lemieux, who plays with the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. And Lemieux would probably be proud of Avery here. Avery with the skate save. Ball going between third and home. He appears to be all right. I think it just hit him on the hard part of the shoe.
It was hit hard by Bonds.
Right foot. It hit him on the right heel.
Well, it kind of looked like he saw the ball coming and put his foot up there, didn't it? Is he that quick?
I don't know. Well, his follow-through was such that he had his side to home plate, and there's really nothing a pitcher can do on balls like that.
Batter is Steve Buechele, and strike 1 to him. That was the first hit for Bonds, who had 2 walks last night. Buechele had a double and a walk last evening. One ball, 1 strike. The Atlanta Braves have squandered 4 hits. Bonds just got the first hit for Pittsburgh. That one missed outside. 2-1. Looks like Bonds is trying to measure Avery down there.
Barry with 43 stolen bases during the season. He was caught 13 times.
Being held by Hunter. Buechele pops it up. Hunter makes the catch. Andrea Joyce has an interesting visitor.
Well, Jack, as you mentioned earlier, no one knows Avery's mechanics better than his dad, Ken Avery. How does he look out there to you so far?
Super. He's super.
Now, we know how calm he is, but how are you doing?
I'm not doing too well. I'm nervous as all get out.
All right, let's go back upstairs.
The kid's okay. The dad is hurt.
It's easy to play, tough to watch.
1 on, 1 out for Don Slaught. Slaught last night 0 for 3 with a walk.
What a base runner looks for is for that right leg to go behind the left leg. Once it does, the pitcher's committed to go home.
A pitch out and nothing happened. Ball 1 to Slaught.
When a pitcher does that, takes the right leg behind the left leg and doesn't go home, it's a balk. That is one of the things that constitutes a balk by a left-handed pitcher.
Saw Gene Lamont coaching at third. There goes Bonds. And a foul. Evens the count 1-1. Bonds got a great jump. He had the left-hander really measured.
All good base stealers generate speed early. And Barry Bonds, no exception. All of the great ones with big thighs. Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock, Maury Wills. Acceleration early.
Lead off single by Bonds. He's there with 1 out. There he goes again. Olson's throw is too late.
And another jump. Stealing twice in a row. A lot of times when a hitter fouls the ball off, a pitcher is less inclined to throw over there or pitch out, thinking that a runner won't run twice in a row, but Bonds does and steals his first base of the league championship series. How about that? 8 and 8 attempts now in postseason play.
He's pretty good at stealing third too, so Lemke will have to work at keeping him close down there at second.
Well, it's a good time to do it because there's 1 out. That's the best time to try to steal third.
The count is 1-2. 2-2. Pittsburgh with a chance to break on top here in the second inning. No score. And the strikeout comes at a fine moment for the Atlanta pitcher. He has fanned 4 now. Slaught still looking for his first hit. And the number 8 hitter for the Pirates is coming up. Jose Lean. They call him Chico. Runner at second. 2 out. Out of play.
With 2 outs and a runner at second base, infielders are reminded that if they can't make a play on the ball, to dive for it and at least keep it in the infield. That way you prevent the runner from second from scoring.
Lean had an RBI last night. Spin move by Avery. Bonds is stealing third. He walks over there. And now strike 2 on the batter with 2 out.
It's less important to steal third with 2 outs than it is with 1 out. But Bonds, with that tremendous acceleration and jump at second base, now 9 for 9 in postseason play.
Back to the pitcher with a good play, and we have a scoreless 2 innings here at Three Rivers Stadium. Pittsburgh has left 2. Steve Avery eyeballing the proceedings here in Pittsburgh. He's off to a good start. And he has allowed only 1 hit and 1 walk in the 2 innings that he has worked. Terry Pendleton leads it off.
And Terry could be, we mentioned last night, he could be the MVP this year. Signed as a free agent by Atlanta before the season, along with Sid Bream and Rafael Belliard. Leading the National League in hitting. He led the all fielders at third base in chances and double plays. The thing about Pendleton, you know, not only the MVP award, but the Comeback Player of the Year award, maybe the Comeback Player of the Century award. 6 home runs last year, a .230 average.
That ball will be caught by Lean.
So Pendleton from last year to this year raised his average 89 points and hit 16 more home runs. That is the best of all major leaguers. That increase in his batting average by at least 80 points and his home run total by at least 15. Only Al Simmons in 1924 came as close. From 24 to 25, he raised his average 76 points and his home runs by 16. So Pendleton could be the Comeback Player of the Century.
He certainly qualifies for this year. Here's Ron Gant with 1 out. And a strike to him. Gant got a base hit his first time, and Pendleton, by the way, is 0 for 5 here in the postseason. One and one. Zane Smith got into a peck of trouble in the second. 3 hits in a row, bases loaded and nobody out. He squirmed out of the situation. That's ball 2. Jim Leyland, the skipper of the Pirates, he has 2 more years to go on his contract. 1 last year, 1 this year. And it's 2-2 to Gant.
Gant, a good inside hitter, takes this tailing fastball right on the corner. And he looks back at Frank Pulley. It was close.
Pulley will ring you up. You got to be a swinger in the National League when he's umpiring behind the plate.
Slot wanted another fastball inside, and Zane Smith stared him off. Some people like to shake their catcher off. Others will just stare him off until they get the sign they want.
Breaking ball, and he held up, and the ball hit him on the foot. The ball hit him on the foot. First of all, the first base umpire said no, he didn't swing. That's DeMuth, and it's a hit by pitch, putting Gant on at first with 1 out.
It's one of those 58-foot curveballs. Don Slaught thought he went around on the play. The ball comes up and hits him, and it doesn't matter, of course, whether it hit the ground first or not. So Ron Gant hit by a pitch.
He goes to first with 1 out. And the batter, David Justice. He hit a towering home run last night. Big swing, strike 1. The Braves have already left 4. Stranded 1 in the first and left the bases loaded in the second. There goes Gant. He is safe. Down to second with 1 out. Well, both clubs doing some running this evening.
Tremendous jump by Gant. You can see he had 4 steps before Slaught had the ball, and an easy steal of second by Gant. Gant, with 34 during the season, has his first of the series here.
We talked about it before, Tim. The strategy against Zane Smith is run if you get a chance. Nice play. Great play by Don Slaught. That was a tough pitch to handle.
Yeah, sometimes you're forced into trying to catch the ball in the dirt instead of blocking it. That ball was so far outside that Slaught didn't have a chance to block it, so he just caught it. Good play.
2 balls and a strike. Out of play, and it's 2-2. And a good play by a spectator. Sign him up. Can he hit? Can he run? 2-2 to David. Pittsburgh got in front last night on the Van Slyke home run, and they were never caught. 5-1 the score. Can't get back in. Bell, I think, is claiming that he blocked him off. He's claiming that he blocked him off, but can't got back in there.
Well, infielders can block off runners when they dive back hand first, because you don't have to worry about the spikes. Watch Bell, the daylight play, and Bell is claiming, and that's a pretty good point by Bell, because I think Gant tried to rearrange his hand on the bag, and it came off the bag.
Now Justice strikes out for the second out.
We'll take another look at that play at second base. The throw was there. Now Gant had it back in there initially, but look at the knee of Bell and watch the hand come off the bag. He was out, and Bell wanted the call, and Eric Gregg didn't give it to him.
Well, he was out, but he's safe again. Runner at second, 2 out. And the batter is Brian Hunter, who singled his first time. And Zane Smith has the catcher slot scrambling a bit. There's a runner trying to steal third, and they ignore him. And a swinging strike 1.
So with 1 out, Barry Bonds steals second, and with 2 outs, he steals third. In this inning, Ron Gant steals second, and with 2 outs, he steals third. Both uncontested.
1 ball, 2 strikes on the foul ball to Hunter. Hunter played and was a little bit overzealous trying to get that foul ball. Hunter spent the entire 1990 season in the minor leagues. A couple of injuries, they brought him up. He's performed well at first base. Listed as an outfielder. Flies into center for Van Slyke, and now Atlanta has left 5 runners, and we're scoreless. We'll return to Three Rivers Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. At the bottom of the third here in Pittsburgh, and no score. Both teams have displayed some very good starting pitching. We had one key play thus far in the game, Tim.
Well, the key play, I think, with the bases loaded and nobody out in the top of the second inning, Rafael Belliard tapping one to Steve Buechele at third base, and Buechele's throw home, easily getting Brian Hunter. So the Braves with a golden opportunity there, and they failed to cash in.
Zane Smith hits it back here, and we're underway in the home half of the third. Smith had 13 hits during the season, so we'll watch him battle Steve Avery. His knees buckled a little bit with that pitch. 1-1. Ball 2.
If the Braves put men on base with the lower part of the order coming up, they are not assured of a chance to score.
2-2.
They have Mark Lemke batting 7th and Belliard batting 8th. The Pirates, on the other hand, some offensive players in those holes. Don Slaught batting 7th and Jose Lean batting 8th.
I struck you out. You struck me out. That's number 5 for Avery, and he gets the leadoff man in the third.
First baseman, Harry Reedus.
Harry Reedus drew a walk his first time. Reeves used to be with Cincinnati, and then he went to the American League, to the White Sox, came over here to Pittsburgh. Strike to him. Terry Pendleton at third. He's about even with the base because of the bunt threat from Reeves. Strike two. Pittsburgh has only one hit. Well, it's never too cold for ice cream. Avery has 5 strikeouts, and he pops Reeves up. Hunter takes care of that fair ball. 2 out. The American Leaguers go at it tomorrow night in Skydome at Toronto. 8:30 Eastern Time. They're all deadlocked to the game apiece. Scott Erickson against Jimmy Key, a couple of big winners. Who's going to win the 3rd game of that series? It's been a good one. Good one thus far. 5-2, 5-4. Avery now to Bell, and a fly ball into left center, and anybody going to catch it? What a good play by Belliard. He went a long way, and that takes care of 3 innings here in Pittsburgh.
Sponsored by AT&T.
Atlanta stranded 1 in the first, left the bases loaded in the second, left another in the third, but Steve Avery has kept Atlanta in the game with 5 strikeouts. And he is seated on the bench as Atlanta comes to bat here in the top of the 4th inning. No score. Atlanta 4 hits, Pirates 1. And first up, Greg Olson. He singled his first time. Zane Smith has allowed 4 hits, and he has hit a batter. No walks. Foul ball out of play. And that ball carried into deep left. Olson hit a half-dozen home runs during the season. One and one. Ball 2.
Zane Smith, originally signing with the Atlanta Braves back in 1982, traded from Atlanta in 1989 to Montreal, and he came to Pittsburgh last year.
And another hit for Olson. Ball moves on the wet turf, but Van Slyke gets to it in a hurry.
And again, the proper approach to hitting Zane Smith by Greg Olson. He singled to right the first time up. Takes it right back through the middle. You can see that front shoulder opening up. That's good hitting by Greg Olson, his 2nd of the night.
And he's perched at first base with a leadoff hit. It's the 2nd time in the game Atlanta's had their leadoff man on, and the batter is Lemke. Ball 1 to Mark.
Here's the 7th and 8th hitter tandem that we were talking about. Hitters tandem. You can't bunt in this situation because you have a weak hitter in the 8-hole and then the pitcher following him. You can hit and run, however. We'll see what Bobby Cox decides to do. Hit and run's a viable alternative.
High in the air for Bonds to chase. Back at the track, Van Slyke also. He makes the catch. Runner back to first, 1 out. It is tough to get the ball past those 2.
Mark Lemke, with only 2 home runs on the season, puts a charge in this one. But we were talking about it last night. If that ball has an arc in it, Van Slyke and Bonds will track it down if it's in the ballpark.
So Olson's at first with 1 out, and they play behind him down there. The batter, Belliard. Belliard was up with the bases loaded, nobody out in the 2nd. Reached on the fielder's choice, hit into a force out, and they call a strike on Belliard. Frank Pulley put up the left hand, then the right hand. Atlanta really tickled about the presence of Belliard in their lineup, and particularly on defense. That's off the plate, 1-1.
He's not going to hit a lot, but he hit enough this year, batting .249. Not a lot of power. As a matter of fact, only one career home run and 1,404 at bats. That home run off Eric Schau.
And he used to play with Pittsburgh, and he pulls it foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's the only type of ball he'll pull foul, the slow breaking ball. Generally speaking, hitters pull off-speed stuff, and that's really what the off-speed stuff does. It speeds up the bat of the hitter, and that's why they pull it. Hard stuff away, they'll hit up the middle or the other way. Of course, you can guess fastball and have extremely quick hands and turn on that too. But for the most part, all things considered equal, breaking balls are easier to pull than fastballs.
He'll get a fastball here, and it is low. 2-2.
See Don Slaught sitting inside, and he had to go inside, and that ball was inside. Looked a little closer initially, but that replay showed it clearly inside.
Is Atlanta going to strand another? They have left 5, and they have 1 on, 1 out. Inside again to Belliard. And the crowd's trying to help Frank Pulley, the umpire. Pitcher coming up next. They're likely to start the runner.
I think if they do, Bell will cover. Bell, the shortstop. Belliard more prone to go the other way.
Olson running, and a bouncing ball to Lean with Bell covering, and there's the second out.
See, Belliard more apt to hit the ball to the right side, and that determines who's going to cover. Watch Lean hold his position. Jay Bell covering. You could see in the left of your picture, had Lean been covering, the ball slithers through the hole, and Olson ends up at third base.
He's at second, 2 out, and Avery bats and bails out, strike 1. Avery struck out in the second, but he's a pretty good hitter as pitchers go. 17 hits for the year, only 2 RBIs, as we mentioned. Strike 2.
Avery hitting .511 as a senior.
In high school. Yeah.
In high school.
Played the outfield when he didn't pitch.
Right. 8 home runs.
He's gone on the outside corner. 3 strikeouts for Zane Smith, and we're still scoreless.
Last night's game, one of the big plays, Doug Drabek batting with 2 outs and a runner at second base. The Pirates up 4-0, and he hits this ball over the head of Ron Gant, the center fielder. Good news for the Pirates. The bad news was right before he got to second base, Doug Drabek slightly pulled his left hamstring, and he is on the shelf for the time being.
And we don't know when he's going to pitch again. The batter is Van Slyke. Fanned his first time. 1-1 the count. The trainer, Kent Biggerstaff, says 50-50 about pitching in his next turn. The manager, Jim Leland, is not quite so sure. Strike into Van Slyke, 1-2. At this point, Steve Avery has retired 6 in a row, and he deals with the big guys, Van Slyke, Bonilla, and Bonds, and it's raining here in Pittsburgh, but they're going to forge on. 2-2. In the first game last night, Van Slyke, a home run, 2 RBIs. Bonilla had 2 hits and a run batted in. Bonds, who has a hit tonight, had 2 walks last night, so they're contributing in the middle of the batting order. Still 2-2 to Andy. There they are. Little amateur artwork. Fantastic. To the first baseman. To the pitcher for the out. Let's go downstairs to Andrea Joyce.
All right, Jack, you were talking about the Drabek injury. He was here until 1:30 in the morning getting treatment, and then all day long today he had hourly sessions, a combination of ice and nerve and muscle stimulation. Now, the injury is not severe enough for him to wear a nerve stimulator during the game, but he will get more treatment later. You mentioned the trainer, Kent Biggerstaff, the 50-50 chance of starting on Monday. Well, he says he feels good, though, because they did get to that injury and get it under control early. Back to you guys.
Back to us and back to Bonilla. Thank you, Andrea. Drabek thinks he'll pitch on Monday. That's the sort he is.
If he doesn't pitch, then it will either be Randy Tomlin or Bob Walker.
This is popped up foul, and Olson might have a play. He does. 2 out. That's 8 in a row by Avery. The ball just skimmed down the front of the Atlanta dugout.
All balls hit in foul territory. If you're a catcher, the ball's going to come back to you. About 2 feet from the dugout.
And Bobby's upset. There's not much room to chase foul balls here in this park. But that one stayed in play, and Bonds bats with the bases empty, 2 out. He has the only Pirate hit. One other base runner on a walk. He talks to plate umpire Frank Bullies. Was that a strike? Would it have been if I hadn't swung? Out of play. Well, because of the weather, we're unable to have the SeaWorld blimp Shamu here to show you the overhead shots tonight, but we shall do so in the future. Meanwhile, a reminder to visit SeaWorld, a very entertaining and educational location. And we appreciate the use of Shamu.
Whales go south when it gets cold. We mentioned it's about 50 degrees, so Shamu may be down near the Sea of Cortez, near Baja now. Remember where they go?
Or over in Maui.
Yeah. Maui? Yeah, right.
1-2 to Bonds. It is raining here. 2-2. Always impressed with the control of the strike zone by Barry Bonds for a fellow who swings as hard as he does.
107 walks this year.
And ball 3-2. Avery got Van Slyke, got Bonilla in. He's trying to get one of the killer bees, Barry Bonds. Got him. And that for Avery is 6th strikeout. He's retired 9 in a row. We've played 4 innings and there is no score. We are into the 5th inning here at Pittsburgh. It's still raining. They're still playing. No score after 4. We take a day off tomorrow and travel down to Dixie. Take no prisoners. And some folks here rooting for the Braves. Bobby Cox and John Schuerholz. The chop stops here. And more banners. Here's the schedule ahead of us in the National League after the day off tomorrow. The afternoon game on Saturday down in Atlanta. Then Sunday night, Monday afternoon. And that's if necessary. And then back here to Pittsburgh if necessary for a day game, then a night game. Top of the order for Atlanta. That's Lonnie Smith 0 for 2. Strike 1 from Zane Smith. And Lonnie is 0 for 6. And the Braves undoubtedly miss Otis Nixon. Strike 2 and a foul ball.
It's the all-around play of Nixon, having perhaps his finest year. Not perhaps, definitely his finest year. You miss his defense, you miss his base running. But Lonnie Smith did a fine job at the end of the season replacing Nixon.
Lonnie takes ball 1. Otis Nixon was going to win the stolen base title. He was suspended, and Marquise Grissom won it. And Marquise was injured at the tail end of the season, and we hope that he recovers well during the offseason. 2-2 to the leadoff man. Lonnie left the bases loaded in the second when he grounded out. 3-2. He frequently walks into pitches, as he almost did there.
Now, Jim Leland telling us exactly how important Lonnie Smith is to this Atlanta Brave ball club. Key man to get out.
A little roller for Zane Smith to handle. 1 out.
Speaking of Leland, some people consider him the best manager top to bottom in the National League, if not the major leagues. Here's a guy 7 years in the minor leagues as a player. Only 7 years. He never played in the big leagues. He managed for 12 years in the Detroit Tiger chain, and he was offered a job by the White Sox and Tony La Russa in 1982. And he ended up there in 83.
You saw him directing his third baseman, Buechele, telling him to play a little deeper. Terry Pendleton, the batter. Terry hasn't started to hit. Strike 1.
Leland tells the story of calling Sparky Anderson, then and now the manager of the Detroit Tigers, asking him. He said, I've got a deal where I can go to the big leagues. The White Sox have offered me a job. I'm a loyal guy. If you give me a job in the big leagues, I'll stay with Detroit. Sparky said, I've already got the coaches set for the 83 season. So Leland goes with La Russa, and sure enough, the White Sox are in the playoffs in 1983. Third base coach, and a good one, and he became the manager of the Pirates in 1986, and what a job he's done.
Outside to Pendleton. 3-1 the count as he bats with 1 out. 5 hits for Atlanta, only 1 for Pittsburgh. And the Braves have left 6. They've had men on base in each inning. 3-2. Pendleton appears to act as though he missed his pitch right there. It's 3-2. Lane Smith has allowed 15 home runs this season. Into short right. Bonilla gets there. Good play on the wet turf by a sliding Bonilla.
A sliding Bonilla. It sounds like something that slithers underwater or something, does it? Well, he's on water right here. Fine play by Bobby Bonilla. The reason outfielders slide to make catches of this type is that they have to go down anyway, and when you slide, you are down. Good play.
And now 2 out for Ron Gant. He's been on base twice. He singled, was hit by a pitch, and he stole 2 bases. Buechele with a groove throw, and the inning is over. So Pittsburgh bats in the home half of the 5th. Still scoreless.
Stadium, Barry Bonds has the only hit for the Pirates tonight. I'm with his father, Bobby Bonds. How does he look to you this year compared to how he was last year in the playoffs?
Well, you know, he looks good. All of them look good. You know, I've been in the clubhouse the last 2 days, and I'm seeing a totally different ball club. You know, they're a lot looser. They're having fun. They just look really good.
All right, thanks very much. Let's go back upstairs.
There was an explosive player, Bobby Bonds. He could start the game with a bang, couldn't he, Tim?
Talk about that 30 home run and 30 stolen base level. He did it 5 times. 5 times. 30 or more home runs and 30 or more stolen bases.
What an
explosive player he was.
He just blew Buechele away, and that's 10 in a row for Avery, who has struck out 7. A lot of good outfielders came through that San Francisco organization.
Well, I'll say the Alou brothers. There were three: Jesus, Matty, Felipe, Willie Mays, of course. Orlando Cepeda started in the outfield, ended up at first base. Ken Henderson, Bobby Bonds.
Strike one to Don Slaught, and Steve Avery is holding his ball club right in there. Slaught struck out his first time. And he's trying for his first hit in the playoff.
Avery drafted in 1988. He was the third player drafted in the country.
These Pirate hitters can't catch up with him.
Nope. Asked Pat Corrales who he reminded him of, and he said Steve Carlton back in 1966 when he broke in with the Cardinals. Pretty good comparison.
And good company. Slaught in the hole. Just got a piece of it.
In 1988, it was an interesting draft crop for the major league clubs. Andy Bennis was the first player drafted. He's with San Diego. Mark Lewis was the second player drafted. He's with Cleveland. Greg Olson, not the Greg Olson in this game, but the reliever for Baltimore, was fourth. Jim Abbott was eighth.
To the second baseman. Lemke, 2 out, 11 in a row. 11 in a row by Steve Avery. Here's what he has done thus far in the game. 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Two out for Lind. That's a hit. And that's an important hit for the Pirates. Are the number 8 hitter.
Yeah, I know what you're driving at, because that clears the pitcher, Zane Smith. So at least Gary Reedus can lead off the 6th inning. Jose Lind jammed on the pitch. Belliard jumping, but can't come up with it. Only the second hit of the night for the Pirates.
Second hit, third base runner, and it stops a streak of 11 in a row retired by the lefty. Now Zane Smith, who fanned his first time. Lind won't be going anywhere off first. Strike one to the screen.
That's one of those types of hits that may not produce a run, and probably won't, because Avery against Smith, a good matchup. But it produces a good situation for the Pirates with the leadoff batter, Gary Reedus, coming up first in the 6th inning.
1 ball, 1 strike. His plate umpire, Frank Pulley, keeps things moving. He bumps up that right hand when it's around the plate. A little more liberal than Doug Harvey, who worked behind the dish last night. 1-2. Atlanta has stranded 6. Pittsburgh has left 2. 2-2 the count. Folks are taking on the ice cream here tonight. There's a good Pirate fan. Hopes to play on this field someday, I'll bet. To the shortstop. Force out. And now the Pirates have left 3, and we're still scoreless after 5. We'll return to Three Rivers Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. Zane Smith and Steve Avery are doing their thing, and we're scoreless after 5. The Pittsburgh Steelers worked out here at Three Rivers Stadium earlier today, and it leads us to a story about Bo Jackson. Bo flunked his physical today. We'll tell you about that after we mention the NFL on CBS Sunday. Undefeated New Orleans 5-0 against the Eagles. Phoenix travels to Minnesota, and the 4 o'clock game with the Atlanta Falcons at San Francisco, where the 49ers have lost Joe Montana for the season. It all starts with the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern. Bo Jackson failed his physical. He's out for this year with regard to the football season. Al Casal, the executive of the Los Angeles Raiders, said that their doctors do not believe that Bo will ever play football again. Bo's doctor has not closed the door. This is David Justice leading off. David Justice has spanned twice against Zane Smith. Homered here last night and gets a base hit to left to start the inning. That's the 6th hit for Atlanta.
That's that inside-out swing where a batter drags the bat head across the strike zone. Watch, the pitch is in on Justice. See that little inside-out swing. And he's got a base hit, the 6th of the night for the Braves.
And it's the 3rd time in 6 innings they put their leadoff man on. But the Braves haven't scored, and they have stranded a half dozen. Batter Brian Hunter, 1 for 2. And the breaking ball strike. He did a whale of a job this year for the Braves. Jimmy Williams giving the signs. His pitcher, Zane Smith, had 6 complete games this year and 3 shutouts. Hunter tracked another strike in there, strike 2. Well, it was a 2-strike count on Justice when he fought a pitch off and got a base hit. And on 2 to Hunter. Four strikeouts for the Pirate Hurl.
Last night, the Atlanta Braves had a much different lineup. This was game 1. Lemke batting 2nd. Sid Bream in the game. Greg Olson batting 7th. But tonight it's different as Pendleton moves to the number 2 hole. Gann hitting number 3. Brian Hunter is in the game. And Olson and Lemke batting 6th and 7th. That bottom part of the order is not a strong offensive part of the order, even though Olson has 2 hits. He's 2 for 2.
He is, and he's up with 1 on, 1 out. And a long look at the third base coach. Pittsburgh leading in this series 1 game to none, and this game scoreless in the 6th. Stolen 2 bases tonight, both by Ron Gant, to no avail. And Bobby Cox in the dugout giving the signs to Williams, who relays them to the batter and the runner. This Greg Olson is having a couple of good years. Now let's see what's going on with the signs.
Now, the way Olson is approaching Smith once again, he has 2 hits to right field. You might think about the hit and run. Don Slaught looking over to Jim Leland and Ray Miller. They flashed pitch out signs to him.
That's ball 2.
Leland telling us before the game that, you know, it might be me, it might be Ray Miller. And that way they can't, if you're trying to steal the signs, you can't zero in on one guy. Both of them give signs, but Slaught takes them from only one guy.
Justice at first, 1 out. There he goes. That avoids the double play. And that's the 2nd out of the inning. Buechele throws out Olson.
2 good things could happen. If the ball's in the hole, hit on the ground, then you have a runner at 1st and 3rd. Runners at 1st and 3rd. If it's hit to an infielder, then you have the runner at 2nd base. So avoiding the double play is the positive side effect to sending the runner. The bad thing that could happen is when a pitcher pitches out. But with the count 2 balls and no strikes, you're not going to pitch out. So that's a surefire thing, and that's what Bobby Cox did, and now Justice is in scoring position.
And the Braves look for a 2-out hit from Mark Lemke. He is single and fly to center. Runner at 2nd, 2 out. 1-1. And don't be too sure that the runner will score on a base hit. Bonds in left and Van Slyke in center have terrific throwing arms. 1-1 strike.
So if you're the runner at second base, what you do, you have to cheat somewhere. Justice is an average runner, maybe a little above average. So by cheating, I mean taking a farther lead off of second base and getting a better jump. And that negates the throwing arms of Bonds and Van Slyke.
But now Lemke's in the hole, 1-2. And this Pittsburgh crowd loves it. And if they fail to get Justice home, that will be 7 men left on for Atlanta. Pitcher and catcher want to be certain they're thinking along the same lines.
Jim Leyland talking to Gene Lamont, the third base coach.
Braves hoping to get the first run. It's 2-2. And we're in the 6th. Justice started the inning with a single. He's at second, 2 out. And a full count, 3-2. The number 8 hitter, Belliard, is due up next. Third baseman, that's a fair ball and a bad hop, and Atlanta's going to take the lead. A bad hop base hit, the runner going for second. He is safe at second base. Buechele was all set to field that one, but the Braves get a break.
And again, the side effect of that hit and run play, sending Justice to second. It looked like Buechele thought that he had a shot at Justice, and he may have tried to tag him before he caught the ball. I think he was going to tag Justice.
You're right.
And he went down before the ball was there. He figured he didn't have a chance on Olson, but what he did after the ball got by him proves that he was going to try to tag Justice. The ball takes a bad hop, and remember, we were talking about knocking the ball down. Well, Buechele fails to do that, and the Braves are on the board.
It's a hit. It's an RBI double for Lemke. That was a tough call for the official scorer. They're going to walk Belliard. I think in addition to what you said, Tim, the ball jumped on him a little bit toward the foul line.
It did. There were two things bad that was happening to Buechele then. He was trying to come down with the glove when the ball was taking a bad hop up. That's a bad combination. And the reason he was trying to come down with the glove was to tag Justice, thinking that he had no play on Lemke.
Now the walk to Belliard. 2 on, 2 out.
Buechele with only 3 errors in the American League in 111 games this year, an American League record. And the ball taking a bad hop, the glove going down, and the ball going up.
And Justice came home to roost. And the hitter, Lemke, ends up at second base. Now they've walked Belliard. And Avery, who has struck out twice, could help himself. But once again, don't be too sure the runner will score from second on a hit. Ball 1. Lemke at second base with the RBI double. And Belliard with a walk at first, 2 out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Avery, we mentioned, had 17 hits, but only 2 runs batted in this year. And he's in the hole now and in danger of striking out for the 3rd time. Almost every pitch a breaking pitch to Avery. it to the short center for Van Slyke, and he got there. Boy, he's good. So Atlanta leads 2 more. They've left 8, but they've taken the lead 1-0 in the middle of the 6th.
Atlanta, you have seen what happened at one corner, the third base bag. The 3-2 curveball to Mark Lemke. But here's what happens at the other corner. Lemke thought that there was a play on him at first base. Now he looks back, he turns the wrong way, he slows down there and just makes it into second base.
And the bottom of the 6th and the top of the order. There's Lemke, who has the RBI. Got a lucky break on a bad hop. 1-0 Atlanta, the first time they've led in the series. Ball 1 to Gary Reedus. Reedus has walked and popped up. And he's 1 for 5 in the 2 games. Strike from Avery. Avery has allowed only 2 hits. Across the water. And Pittsburgh has left 3.
Yeah, I noticed you've been saying that a lot tonight. Strike from Avery.
He's been humming. And he went around. And Reedus is in the hole 1 and 2. And amused with the call. Reedus, Bell, and Van Slyke here in the 6th. It's a difficult team to shut out, Pittsburgh. He went around again, and that is number 8 for the young left-hander. Well, tomorrow, CBS News will provide live coverage of the historic Senate committee hearing into allegations against Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas. Anita Hill will present her case to the Senate committee beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. So stay with CBS News for this special coverage, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning.
You mentioned Atlanta with a 1-0 lead. The first time they have led in the series. The Atlanta Braves have not won a postseason game, or the Braves, including Milwaukee, have not won a postseason game since 1958. They have lost 10 straight postseason games. 1 year with Milwaukee, the series in 1958 against the Yankees, when the Yankees won the last 3. And then the Braves were swept in Atlanta, 1969 by the Mets, 1982 by the Cardinals, and they lost last night. So if they lose tonight, they could tie the all-time record held by the Philadelphia Phillies for most consecutive losses in postseason play.
They don't want to do that.
No, they don't.
A strike to Bell makes it 2 balls and a strike to Jay. He is fanned. He is popped out. And he's 1 for 5. Folks in Atlanta have their fingers crossed now. Bell has the count evened up 2-2. And you folks are watching a terrific young pitcher, 21-year-old Steve Avery. He won 18 this year, and he is holding 4th at this moment. That ball is foul, and it stays 2-2. That youngster dreams of being just like Steve Avery. We're going to be in Atlanta Saturday. Day off tomorrow for the National League playoff people, and 2:30 Eastern Time, an afternoon game at Fulton County Stadium. Game 3. Frank Foley looked like he was leaning a little bit, but it's 3-2.
And there will be a whole lot of chopping going on down there in Atlanta.
Well, that'll be fun. That's one of the most refreshing
it's great.
sports scenes, baseball scenes in particular, in recent years. 3-2. Got him. He changed up, Tim, on 3-2.
That's why we said earlier that his pitches in order of excellence are fastball, changeup, breaking ball. He's had all 3 working for him tonight. The changeup gets Jay Bell.
Gotta have a lot of nerve to throw that on 3-2 with the big guys coming up. Chop, brave, scalp. That's what the Pirate fans want. Van Slyke is 0 for 2. Had a good night last night. There's a strike on the corner. Frank Pulley gets plenty of exercise with that right jab that he throws. He's the plate umpire. There's another one. Strike 2 from Avery. They've gotten out the Sabres here in Pittsburgh. They try to chop the Braves with the Pirates Sabre. That ball is fair. What a play by Pendleton. And a good play by the first baseman, Hunter. After 6, it's 1-0 Atlanta.
Sports coverage of Game 2 of the 1991 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. Owens Corning Fiberglass, we can help you get a foothold on your energy bills. And by Extra Strength Rolaids, 100% relief for millions.
1-0 Atlanta after 6, and like medieval England, heads have rolled this week as far as Major League Manager are concerned. Stump Merrill from the Yankees on Monday, Joe Morgan from the Red Sox on Tuesday, Tom Trebelhorn yesterday from the Brewers, Jim Lefebvre this afternoon from the Mariners. Tomorrow, Jeff Torborg will be hired as the Mets manager. That's tomorrow. And how about the background music? Never on Sunday.
Oh, but on Sunday, Joe Morgan's going to the Yankees. Tom Trebelhorn going to the White Sox.
Right.
Lefebvre's going to Milwaukee. Here we are into the 7th inning. 1-0 Atlanta, top of the order. Lonnie Smith, ball 1, ball 2. Does Steve Avery have 3 more good innings in him?
That's like a 1991 word, focus. And that's it right there. It's overused, but now with him.
What a job he has done, but it's not been accomplished yet. 3-0 now, and remember this. In more than 300 innings, Zane Smith has walked the leadoff man only twice in about 340 innings. And he gets a strike in there. Lonnie is 0 for 3 and 0 for 7. 3-2 now. It'll be Smith, Pendleton, and Gant here in the Atlanta 7th, and of course they want to get more than they have. The left-hander is Bob Patterson, and Roger Mason is the right-hander preparing for Pittsburgh. Ball 4, he walked the leadoff hitter, and that's a rarity for Zane Smith. And it's the 4th time. It's the 4th time that Atlanta's had their leadoff man on. We're going to have a pinch runner, and that's Keith Mitchell running for Lonnie Smith. Have Smith's running skills diminished that much, Tim?
Well, I think his defensive skills have diminished, and Keith Mitchell in there for defense as much as for running. Some young legs to run the bases and track them down.
And the batter Pendleton, who seeks his first hit of the playoff. And the Braves play a bunting game. That ball is foul as it arrives to Gary Reedus.
I think it's worth mentioning again, Jack, just how unusual that leadoff walk was. You said earlier that in the last year and a half that Zane Smith has walked only 2 in the last 335 innings that he's worked. That's to lead off the inning, and here he walks Lonnie Smith to lead off the 7th.
Actually, that figure got up to 341 innings without walking the leadoff man. Mitchell with what appears to be a safe lead, and now the Braves go away from the bunt, and it's 1-1. What's shaking here, boys? You're going to hit and run. You're going to steal. Going to sacrifice. Lott peering into the dugout. Keith Mitchell doing the running after the walk to Lonnie Smith. Mitchell has stolen 3 bases, been caught 1 time. We're in the 7th, getting late now. Allen hits a double play ball. 2. Lean to Bell to Ritas.
Well, you've heard that so many times that the double play is the pitcher's best friend. Well, think of how chummy it's been for Zane Smith for the last 2 years. He's led the major leagues this year. 27 double plays turned behind him, and he led the major leagues last year with 34 DPs behind him. Pretty good friend.
And Gant gets a 2-out hit, so the leadoff walk was wasted. And Gant gets his 2nd hit of the night, and it comes with 2 out. And David Justice, who has scored the game's only run, is up. Mitchell really went in hard to Jay Bell, trying to break up the double play, but Bell eluded him and completed the twin killing. Now the Braves hope for something from Justice. They hope that justice prevails. Justice struck out, singled and scored. That ball is foul, and it is out of the reach of Bouchel. Tim, we go back to the double play and wonder why Atlanta wasn't running.
Yeah, I think that's really what you have to do against Zane Smith. As a matter of fact, in the 6th inning, because Atlanta ran and sent Justice, had put Justice in scoring position, that ball would have been a double play ball. Otherwise, the ball hit by Olson, and with Justice on 2nd, he scores the only run of the ball game on the double by Limpy.
And now it's Gant at 1st and 2 out. There he goes, and he is safe with his 3rd stolen base of the night. And the count 0-2 to Justice.
Gant, the one guy on the Atlanta Braves that is a pure base stealer. You don't often get that combination, power and speed, but you have it with Ron Gant. 2 straight years, 30 home runs or more and 30 stolen bases or more.
And that ties a record for 1 game, 3 stolen bases. Ball 1 to Justice. And National League Championship Series, a record tied by Ron Gant with his 3rd stolen base tonight. He's there with 2 out. That's a big run if Atlanta can chase it home. And equally as big for the Pirates to avoid. To the 2nd baseman, Lean. Now Atlanta has left 9. They've left 9, but in the middle of the 7th, they lead it 1-0.
Hard. Keith Mitchell went into Jay Bell. How does the shortstop protect himself? By doing that, dropping down, and look at the hands go up on Keith Mitchell. He got down just in time.
Well, this is bound to be a difficult inning for the Atlanta Braves and Steve Avery, but he comes after Bonilla and gets a strike. The Killer Bees are up here in the bottom of the 7th. Bonilla, Bonds, and Bouchel. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bobby, who has struck out, fouled out. And Avery is moving along with a 2-hit shutout here in the 7th. He's behind on the count now. The new left fielder is Keith Mitchell after running for Lonnie Smith. Switch hitter Bonilla up there. Out of play, 2-2.
Talk about the killer bees. Well, Avery has taken the sting out of the Pirate bats tonight.
He's the killer A.
He has been extraordinary.
He's issued 1 walk. Out singles by Bonds and Leaned. And he's still throwing hard in the 7th, 2-2. From deep short, Belliard. Safe.
Infielders are at a real disadvantage when power hitters are up. You have to respect their strength, so you have to play them deep. Look how far back Belliard fields that ball. His throw is errant, and Bonilla has an infield hit.
And the stage is set with Bonilla at first and nobody out for Barry Bonds. He has singled, stolen 2 bases, and struck out. Just missed outside, ball 1. That was only the 3rd Pittsburgh hit. And the 3rd time they put their leadoff man on base. Double play ball, maybe. Up on a good play by Hunter. Lamke to Belliard, who drilled it into the dirt, and there are 2 gone. I said maybe because Bonds is a great runner.
We looked at Jay Bell protect himself. Watch Belliard. He gets rid of it as quickly as possible. And a great play by Hunter on the back end. Well, that was a fine pick on that short hop by Brian Hunter, the first baseman.
He was listed as an outfielder and was an emergency first baseman for Atlanta this year. 2 out and nobody on. And now it is Buechele with 2 out.
Here it is from this angle from right field. Boy, that is a fine play. Soft hands to do that. Good play.
2 out in the 7th. Buechele is 0 for 2. What a swing he had. 1-1. That was a major league swing, Tim.
Major league or an NFL swing. The reason I say that is because Steve Buechele went to Stanford. You talked about Avery being offered a scholarship to Stanford. Steve Buechele, who do you room with at Stanford? John Elway.
So he knows the ways of football. A couple of stars were roommates. Ball 2 the count from the Atlanta hurler. Roger Mason throwing again in the bullpen for the Pirates. Looks like he might come in. Due to the fashion that he is warming up. He was warming up earlier and now cranking it up once more. Avery was walked 1, has run the count to 3-1. And he walks Buechele. Well, the double play certainly eases the pressure. These kids know what's going on, don't they? Nothing doing in the Atlanta bullpen, in case you're wondering.
You're including Avery in that last remark, aren't you?
About the kids?
Yeah, these kids know what's going on. The one on the mound does, I'll tell you that.
Don Slaught is 0 for 2. Out of play. Buechele not a big threat to run. 1-0. Atlanta scored. This game's only run in the 6th inning. Single by Justice with 2 out. A bad hop double past third by Mark Lemke. Slaught looks like he's the 3rd out of the inning. Force out. We played 7th. After losing last night, the Atlanta Braves lead it here 1-0, and this double play certainly helped Atlanta, didn't it?
By Budweiser.
The hero of the moment is the left-handed pitcher for Atlanta, Steve Avery. He has shut out the Pirates for 7 innings on 3 hits and has 9 strikeouts. And Lemke has the only RBI. Atlanta's left 9.
Worth taking another look at that. It happened in the 6th inning with Justice on second base and 2 outs. The ball eluding Steve Buechele at third base, and Lemke with a double. Buechele trying to make a tag on Dave Justice. The ball went up, the glove went down, and Atlanta took the lead.
And that was in the 6th, as Ken mentioned, and now we're in the 8th, and Brian Hunter leads it off. There's John Smiley, 20-game winner, and he'll be the pitcher in the game on Saturday. The new pitcher now for the Pirates is Roger Mason in relief of Zane Smith. Smith, 7 innings, 1 run, 8 hits, struck out 4, walked 1 intentionally, and hit 1. He did a great job. Hunter takes strike 2. This young player has shown us some fine fielding at first base. He trails that pitch low, 2-2. Hunter, Olson, and Lemke.
That's exactly why he's in there, too. I mean, normally, Bobby Cox would pinch hit for Hunter in this situation with Sid Bream, but Hunter's proven to be at least Sid Bream's equal, and that's saying something.
And he did a good job of hitting and spoiling a difficult pitch from Mason.
I think the one thing that is plaguing Sid Bream now is he's not as mobile as he once was with all of those knee operations, and that's why Bobby Cox has the younger Hunter in there.
There's Sid Bream, ready at any moment. And popped up by Brian Hunter, foul ball. And a play for Slaught. Yep. He caught it right up against the facing of the dugout. That was a heck of a play.
Well, the one thing you have to worry about in a situation like that is the ball caroming off of the edge of the dugout and hitting you in the coconut. That's what you don't want. Watch this play.
Well, that is right up against.
Yeah, that is a terrific play by Slaught. It didn't hit the dugout first, did it? I'll tell you, it was very, very close. If that ball hits the dugout first and goes in his glove, obviously it's no catch. I think it might have hit the dugout first and then gone into the glove of Don Slaught. Watch. Watch. That ball hit the dugout first. That was an illegal catch, but there are 2 out or 1 out for the Braves.
Yeah. And the batter is Olson. I wonder what Steve Palermo, the American League umpire, thought about that play. These umpires here want to send their best wishes to the recuperating Steve Palermo, the American League umpire, who was injured in a shooting while trying to help some people. That was a pretty good knockdown pitch, wasn't it?
Right there, Greg Olson's had a good night. I doubt that there was any message here, but you never know.
Olson's 2 for 3.
That's a message that hitters don't like to receive on their answering machine.
1 out in the 8th. And a blistering fastball, 1-2. Olson spoils the delivery, 1-2. What a great spot Roger Mason found here with Pittsburgh. He'd been a journeyman pitcher with a couple of other clubs, notably San Francisco. Pirates have made very good use of him, and Leland has a lot of faith in his ability. That's the 2nd out of the inning.
Roger Mason appears to be throwing very hard. Slaught sitting inside. The pitch was inside on the corner. That's the green weenie, I believe, isn't it? That's the green weenie made famous by the old gunner, Bob Prince, who was an announcer here in Pittsburgh forever. Very popular.
And what a wonderful guy.
You got tomahawk chops and green weenies. Strange things in this series.
I never come here to Pittsburgh, Tim, without missing Bob Prince.
Yep.
Now Mason falls behind 2-0 to Lemke. Lemke has had a single, a double, and with a little luck has driven in the only run of this game. Now the count is 2-1. Bobby Cox is sweating this one out. He's ahead 1-0, trying to get out of here with a split. That's how to play.
I think it's worth another look on that pop-up hit by Brian Hunter. Slot over near the dugout, and we'll slow it down for you as much as we can. Right there, we think the ball hit the dugout, or at least it looks like it did to me.
You'd have made a good umpire.
I was told that when I played.
There's one for Bonilla off the bat of Lemke, and that takes us into the bottom of the 8th with the Atlanta Braves leading. It's a tense affair. It's 1-0.
The 8th, decide for yourself whether the ball hit the dugout before it hit the glove. Looked like it caromed into the glove from that angle.
It certainly looked like it changed directions. Here is Leaned, and there is Avery getting ahead on the count again. Bottom of the 8th inning. 1-0 Atlanta. Pittsburgh has been limited to only 3 hits. 1-1. Lean has a base hit in this game. He's a tough out despite that .265 average. You never know what he's thinking. Every once in a while he'll turn on the ball and try to pull it, but he pops this one up. And Pendleton wants it. 1 out. And the Atlanta Braves are 5 outs away from getting even in this series. We're going to have a pinch hitter. Lloyd McClendon, right-handed batter, is going to hit against Avery. That's who they have on the bench. Lavalier and Varsho, they're left-handed hitters. McClendon. Switch hitters are Espy, Orlando Merced, and Curtis Wilkerson. And they go with McClendon.
Lloyd, certainly the most powerful pinch hitter that the Pirates have, and in a 1-run game, that's who you turn to. He has 1 pinch hit home run this year, and at least 1 pinch hit home run in each of the last 5 years. So Jim Leyland has the right man up in this spot.
He is a pumper. Lloyd McClendon, formerly with Cincinnati and with the Cubs. He's the number 3 catcher on the Pirate Club. And Avery gets ahead of him. And that pitch was 92 NPH. And we're in the bottom of the 8th. And this kid's only 21. 1 ball, 1 strike to Lloyd. McClendon is from Gary, Indiana. That last pitch was clocked at 95. And strike 2 makes it 1-2. McClendon batting with 1 out. Avery's going to have to go through the big guys again, at least. Bell, Van Slyke, and Bonilla. Pops it up, and the right fielder wants it. That's Justice, 2 out. And he didn't get a very good swing at that one. At the conclusion of this game, Tim McCarver and I will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will then donate $1,000 on the player's behalf to the Special Olympics. We know darn well who it is at this point, don't we?
It's a laydown.
It's a lock, a mortal lock to this point. 2 out in the Pirate 8th. Aridas 0 for 2 with a walk. Ball 1. He got ahead of the other 2 batters with ball 1 to Gary Aridas. Atlanta has out-hit Pittsburgh 8-3. And another beach ball.
Hey, it's very interesting to look at the defensive positioning of Terry Pendleton. With 2 out and nobody on, Aridas has a lot of speed. So instead of guarding the line, Pendleton elects, with Avery throwing so hard, he elects to play in for the bunt. He figures that if Avery's throwing that hard and that far away from Reedus, the chances of Reedus pulling the ball are remote.
That's ball 2 to Gary Reedus. We're at Three Rivers Stadium. Another big crowd to watch the Pirates and the Braves, and we're in the bottom of the 8th with 2 out. And a 1-0 Atlanta lead. Watch it on 2-0. Ball 3. And tomorrow night, the action continues on CBS. Skydome, Toronto. Twins and Blue Jays at a game apiece. Scott Erickson and Jimmy Key will go at it. 8:30 Eastern tomorrow night. 3-1 the count. It's a wonderful time of year when baseball really blossoms, and the matchup is terrific in the American League as it is in the National. 3-1 the count. Hit to center with 2 out. Ron Gant had to stay down on that wet turf to make sure that ball didn't get by him.
Good play by Gant. It would be a routine play normally, but because of the conditions, because of the wet outfield, Gant indeed has to stay down on this ball. This ball hit like a tracer. And watch Gant get to it quickly. Reedus certainly a base-stealing threat. He is 6 for 6 against Atlanta this year.
And the batter is Jay Bell. He has a chance to be a hero with 2 out. Ball 1 to him. Bell is 0 for 3. He struck out, popped out, struck out, and 1 out of 6 in the series. Now this assures the fact that Van Slyke, Bonilla, and Bonds will bat again in this one. There goes the runner. No throw.
A power pitcher has to have a big kick to generate power. The problem with that, however, is with that big kick, it takes a lot of time to get the leg back down. And that gives base runners a chance to steal, and that's what Reedus did.
Now the Pirate fans want a little old hit from Jay Bell. Runner at second, 2 out, 1-1 count. Back to the pole, up the middle, but the runner does not score.
Remember earlier in the game, we talked about with a runner at second and 2 out, make sure you stop the ball from going to the outfield. And that's all Lemke wanted to do. That holds Reedus at third base. And now it's up to Slick again. Reedus making the turn, Lemke making the play, and the Pirates have yet to score. Third base coach Gene Lamont down the line, out of the box, and hands are up. Stop. Good play by Lemke.
A quick trip to the mound now. There is Jay Bell. He's on at first with his first hit of this game. They're rocking the stand. Hey, what are you doing? Looks like San Francisco the way they're moving those stands. Here's Van Slyke. This might be the game. First and third, 2 out. Strike from Avery. Van Slyke struck out. Grounded to first. Grounded to third. Tying run at third. Lead run at first. 2 out in the 8th. And strike 1 on Van Slyke. Got him. Force out. Unassisted. And after 8. Atlanta hangs on it. What a job by Avery. What a job by Avery. After 8, 1-0 Atlanta. Well, you don't see many 1-0 games in the 9th inning here at Pittsburgh, especially with the visitors leading. But that's the way it is. Stan Belinda becomes the third hurler. Roger Mason, a perfect inning. Belinda 7 and 5, 16 saves for the year. will pitch to Atlanta in the 9th inning. Get a close-up look at Belinda and see if he reminds you of anybody. Not the back of his head, but his face.
You're talking about 1-0 games. I bet they never had a game like this in Mayberry, did they?
Who is that?
Ronnie Howard. Little Opie.
Opie.
Ron's done all right for himself.
It is Belinda's job to keep it 1-0 and send it into the bottom of the 9th, at which time Bonilla, Bonds, and Buechele were back. Rafael Belliard, 0 for 2, number 8 hitter. And strike one. Here's Doug Grayback, who won the game last night and left after being injured. Out of play by Belliard, strike 2. Belliard leading off in the 9th against this 3rd Pirate Hurley. What a good game this has been. I bet they have the same kind of action in Skydome tomorrow night. The Twins and Blue Jays. Erickson and Key. Ball 1 to the former Pirate. And the crowd whooping it up. They expect Belliard to hit this ball to the opposite field. And last night they set an attendance record here in Pittsburgh, and they packed him in again tonight. Look at there. And they're all staying to see what Bonilla, Bonds, and Buechele do in the 9th against Avery. And it will be Avery. Count goes to 2-2. Gold Bucks. That's the call here at the moment. And the other call is time. Some Atlanta fans are on hand. To Bonilla. 1 out.
When you're in New York on Broadway, what do you say for entertainment? You say, well, let's take in a couple of plays. Well, let's take in a couple of plays, deciding plays in this ball game. Steve Buechele at third base with Justice running, tried to make the tag. The ball eludes the glove, and Justice scores. Now, in the bottom of the 8th, with a runner on second and 2 outs, what happens? Lemke prevents the runner from scoring, and those 2 plays are the differences in this ball game.
And Lemke in the middle of it all. Strike 1 to Avery. He is 0 for 3.
That's right. Lemke offensively and defensively.
And Belinda is in the process of blowing away Steve Avery, who is probably more concerned about pitching the bottom of the 9th. 1-2. Mr. Bonilla is going to lead it off. Bonds will follow, and then Buechele in the bottom of the 9th. And a strikeout, so Avery can go sit on the bench and contemplate the trio of hitters he's going to face in the 9th. Remember, this young man is only 21 years old. Trying to pick his ball club up after they lost with Tom Glavine last night.
Bobby Cox telling us before the game that Steve Avery has lost 4 shutouts in the 9th inning this year. 4. So we'll see.
We shall. Here for the first at bat is Keith Mitchell. He ran for Lonnie Smith, and he's playing left field. Out of play, strike 1. 8 hits for Atlanta, 5 for the Pirates, an errorless game. RBI double came in the 6th inning with 2 out. Leadoff hit by Justice. He advanced to second on a ground ball. Scored on the bat, hop double by Lemke, and now we're headed for the bottom of the 9th after Lean catches the ball to end the top of the ninth. Well, hold your breath in Atlanta. Whoop it up here in Pittsburgh. Bottom of the ninth. 1-0 Braves. As we said before, you don't see many 1-0 games going into the bottom of the ninth here at Pittsburgh, especially in championship play, with Pittsburgh leading 1-0 and trailing here 1-0. And Steve Avery trying to go the distance, facing Bobby Bonilla. Low ball one. This pitcher has walked 2. He has struck out 9. Has not had any recent strikeouts. Bonilla drills it into the left field corner fair. And he's going to get a double to lead it off.
Fastball inside, and Bonilla cranks it down the left field line. A double to lead off the ninth.
Bonilla with the double gets the 6th hit for Pittsburgh. And the batter is Barry Bonds. Ball 1. Bonds has a single, 1 out of 3. Alejandro Pena is the right-hander. Mike Stanton, the left-hander, in the left field corner warming up. Ooh, a big swing by Bonds, and it's 1-1. How much does Avery have left? You know, if the attendance is here, even more than last night. Another record, 57,533 in Three Rivers Stadium. And you wonder how much Avery has left. Just missed with a breaking ball, 2-1. A base is open, and even though Bonds is the winning run, potentially, you really have to pitch carefully to him. You can't give in to him. You got to make him hit your pitch, not his pitch, right, Tim?
No, I don't agree with you.
No?
No, I think you go right at him. I think you make him hit the ball. If you end up walking him, Bichelle bunts, you got the tying run potentially on third and the winning run on second.
It's the tying run at second, nobody out. And that one missed, and the count goes to 3-1. Second, nobody out, and he popped him up, and it'll not advance the runner. Belliard, 1 out. What a big out as Avery gets Barry Bonds, who smashes the bat. 1 out. You were right, Tim. He did come right after.
Yeah, there's just sometimes in a game where you just got to go right after a guy. If he hits it, it's not the end of the world. But Barry Bonds is treating it like that. 3-1 fastball right down the pipe. And now Bobby Cox, remembering last inning that we said that 4 times this year, Bobby Cox told us before the game, Avery had lost a shutout in the 9th inning, and Cox isn't going to allow that to happen tonight.
He is going to lead in favor of Alejandro Pena. And what a wonderful piece of work Steve Avery turned in. Pena into the game, and the 21-year-old Avery can only win, cannot lose. This game is not over. In the bottom of the 9th, tying run at second, 1 out. There's Ken Avery, Steve's dad. There you see Steve walking off the mound. Brother, he can be proud of his kid tonight. What a job. 8 1/3 innings, no runs, 6 hits, struck out 9, walked 2, and he sweats out the performance of Alejandro Pena, who is 11 and 11 in save opportunities since he joined the Braves, and the batter's Buechele.
Coming to the Braves for Tony Castillo in late August.
A chance for Buechele to make an impact on this Pirate scene. Strike from Pena. And these Atlanta pitchers, the two of them, Avery earlier, Pena now, getting ahead of the batter. And the Pirate hitters have seen a lot of fastballs tonight.
They're not through either. This guy's still got a great fastball, 90 plus.
And a wild pitch. Boy, does that help Pittsburgh.
No chance for Olsen on this fastball. That ball just gets by him. One of the problems when you throw so hard, a catcher doesn't have a chance to react. And now the Braves forced to bring the infield in.
And that helps the chances of Buechele.
And Pena needs a strikeout.
Infield in, outfielder out of the right. Bonilla the tying run at third, 1 out. Bottom of the 9th. And the count 1-1. Back to the pitcher. And that's 2 out. Isn't that something? What do you think of that in Atlanta? We're coming your way for Saturday. We're so anxious to get down to Fulton County Stadium to watch the fan action.
Just a matter of whether the Braves will be 1-1 or 0-2. Got to remember, this is the first time that Steve Buechele has ever faced Alejandro Pena. And that's got to be another reason for Bobby Cox bringing him in here. He's faced Avery 3 times, and he brings Pena in to face Buechele for the first time ever.
We're going to have a pinch hitter. We saw Lloyd McClendon earlier. This is Curtis Wilkerson. He's a switch hitter. And during his career, folks, he is 2 out of 5 against Pena. Can Steve Avery win this game? Another out will do it for him. The infielders now drop back with 2 out. Wilkerson the hitter. 1-0 Atlanta, 2 out, bottom of the 9th. Bonilla the tying run at third. And Pena blitzed it by him. He was really late on that one.
Well, there's no reason to be cute right here if you're Pena. You go right to your #1 pitch, and you're not going to get beat on anything less than that. He has a palm ball and a slider, but he'll go with a fastball here.
Second baseman Lemke is backed up deep into the outfield from second base, and that's strike 2 in Atlanta. Is 1 strike away from getting even in this championship series, as the Twins are, and Toronto. Marvin Freeman closest to you, hollering out. And the Pirate bench, they need something with 2 out. Something good. Bonilla third, 2 gone, 0-2 to the hitter. And he's out, and the Braves win it. Pena comes on, and despite the wild pitch, saves it for Steve Avery. Oh, what a good game that was. What a good game. This series is tied at a game apiece. Next action Saturday afternoon.
We talked about Pena and his fastball. That's about as much emotion as you'll ever see him show. This fastball on the 0-2 count, and Wilkerson is punched out by Frank Pulley. Pena normally subdued. He's happy. And there's another guy who's happy.
We'll be back with an interview with Steve Avery and others. 1-0 Atlanta. They out-hit the Pirates 8-6. Steve Avery the winner, Zane Smith the loser. Alejandro Pena a save, and Atlanta left 9 and Pittsburgh 7. It's no surprise. The Chevrolet player of the game is Steve Avery of the Braves. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 on his behalf to the Special Olympics. Let's get a new look at Steve Avery from Andrea Joyce.
All right, Jack. Steve, congratulations on a terrific game. A little bit rocky in the 8th and 9th inning, though. What happened?
You know, they're a great hitting club. You can't hold a team like that down forever, and I'm just glad that we played such great defense, and Ollie came in and did the job.
How important is it for you guys to do this, to win one here before you head back down to Atlanta now for 3?
You know, that's all we could have asked for is getting a split out of here, and you know, we didn't score many runs, but we sneak out a win, so I think that's going to pick our team up a little bit.
You said you weren't nervous, and you sure didn't look like it tonight. Congratulations again, Mark. Last night, a little bit of a tough night for you as you were thrown out at third. You come back tonight with the game-winning RBI and an excellent defensive play in the 8th inning to save a run. Things looking a little better tonight in the 8th inning.
Yeah, things are looking a little bit better. Like we all said last night, you know, we're not going to stop the way we play. Even tonight when I got the hit, I had a questionable chance to go to second base, and I took it, you know, and that's the way we're going to play. We're going to play aggressive all the time, and last night it didn't work out, but tonight it worked out for us, and we got us a run.
All right, Mark, congratulations. We will see you guys down in Atlanta, and Jack, I got a feeling that there's a breeze down in Atlanta with that tomahawk chop.
That's going to be fun in Atlanta, Andrea. We'll have some final thoughts, and we'll return to Three Rivers Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. Better baseball games than the one we saw here with Atlanta winning 1-0. And frankly, my dear, I think we're going to Atlanta.
You think we do give a darn, huh? Well, Steve Avery certainly gave a darn tonight and certainly was the star of the game. But you've heard of a tale of two cities. It was a kind of a tale of 2 outs tonight. The 2-out play that Steve Buechele didn't make in the 6th inning, and the 2-out play that Mark Lemke did make in the 8th inning.
And the wild pitch, and then the great further pitching by Alejandro Pena to save it for Avery and Atlanta. For Tim McCarver and Andrea Joyce, I'm Jack Buck saying so long from Three Rivers Stadium. The final score, 1-0 Braves. CBS Sports coverage of baseball's postseason continues tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern. Game 3 of the American League Championship Series between the Twins and Toronto. That should be a terrific game. They're tying at a game apiece. Then Saturday afternoon at 2:30 Eastern, the National League Championship Series moves to Atlanta, and the Braves host the Pirates there in Game 3.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 2 of the 1991 National League Championship Series.
You have been watching Major League Baseball on CBS Sports, home of the biggest games in baseball, the League Championship Series and the World Series. What an evening for 21-year-old Steve Avery and the Atlanta Braves. We're on our way down there.